Hey there, I'm Gavin Stewart, and you're watching Bits and Bobs, a series of quick, random, interesting facts to keep your mind sharp and your senses invigorated. Let's get to it. Number 10. Hammurabi's Code. If it weren't for the rule of law, civilization as we know it might not have come to be. The history of law goes hand in hand with the development of civilization, and the first codified set of laws was that of Codex Hammurabi in 1760 BC. It was an ancient set of laws created by King Hammurabi of the first Babylonian dynasty of the Amorite tribe. It is among the first recorded instances of the principle of lex talionis, the idea of equal retribution known as an eye for an eye. Number 9. Cuneiform. Of course, for the first laws to ever be written, there had to be an early system of written language, and in the case of Hammurabi's Code, that writing system was cuneiform. It was invented by the Sumerians of Mesopotamia and was a series of symbols made of wedge-shaped markings on clay tablets. The script evolved from pictographs that over thousands of years reduced to the script used before the writing system's extinction. Number 8. Miami. Don't get Babylonia mixed up with the Babylon, the nightclub featured in the movie Scarface, which takes place in Miami, Florida in the 1980s. Miami is the only US city that was founded by a woman, Julia Tuttle, and welcomes over 14 million tourists per year, second only to New York City. It's also the only US city to be surrounded by two national parks, those of Biscayne and the Everglades. Miami gets its name from one of the tribes that lived in the area back in the 16th century, the Miami. Number 7. Alligator. You can't have the Everglades without alligators. Alligators are considered apex predators, meaning they are at the top of the food chain in their ecosystem. The name alligator is speculated to have come from Alligator, which is Spanish for the lizard, and since the Spanish were among the first explorers in Florida, where alligators are found, the name stuck. There are only two species of alligator, the American and the Chinese. Number 6. Marco Polo. Marco Polo was the first person outside of China to write about the Chinese alligator in the late 1200s. Marco Polo, of course, was an Italian explorer, merchant, and writer who lived from 1254 to 1324. Many stories of his travels are recorded in a book published circa 1300, commonly known as The Travels of Marco Polo. The book was notable because it described to Europeans the cultures and lives of the Eastern world, including those of the Mongol Empire, the Yuan dynasty in China, as well as India, Japan, and others. Number 5. Silk Road. It cost money to travel, and no one knew this better than the travelers of hundreds of years ago. Marco Polo funded his travels with trading along the Silk Road. The Silk Road was a network of trading routes that connected the Eastern and Western worlds, from around 114 BC to the 1450s AD. It was so named for its plentiful trade of silk and offered wares beyond this, such as paper and gunpowder. It was the vessel for the spread of religion, science, culture, language, and even disease. The Great Wall of China was extended to provide protection for the Silk Road. Number 4. Corduroy. And of course, fabrics and textiles were among the most highly traded and prized commodities of trade, and for this factoid, we've settled with none other than corduroy. It's that distinct fabric with cords running down its length. You may think the name corduroy comes from the French corduroy, but alas, it does not. The name instead comes from English cord and duroy, which was a coarse woolen cloth made in the 18th century England. The number of cords per inch of fabric is known as the wale, and the lower the wale, the thicker the cords. Corduroy was and continues to be a durable fabric, and was primarily worn by British townspeople of industrial areas. Corduroy existed in Europe since the 18th century, but only caught on globally since the 1970s. Number 3. Louis Vuitton. And speaking of fashionable clothes, we come to those of Louis Vuitton, the French fashion house and luxury brand created by none other than the man himself in 1854. From 2006 to 2012, Louis Vuitton was named the world's most valuable luxury brand. The brand began in flat-top trunks with a sales price of $10,567. Try charging that to your Amex in 1854. Number 2. French hot air balloon. As we have seen with Louis Vuitton, many things held in high stead come from France, including that of this next factoid. First manned hot air balloon flight. It was flown by Jean-François Pilote de Rosier in October of 1783. The first free balloon flight occurred in November of that year. De Rosier tragically died after trying to cross the English Channel in a balloon. He became one of the first known casualties of an air crash. Number 1. Virgin Pacific Flyer. For our final factoid, we come to that of the Virgin Pacific Flyer of January 1991, which was the longest flight in a hot air balloon. Per Lindstrand and Richard Branson flew over 7,600 kilometers, or 4,700 miles, from Japan to northern Canada. The balloon had a volume of 74,000 cubic meters, or 2.6 million cubic feet, the largest balloon envelope ever built for a hot aircraft. And that completes this episode of B&B. If you liked it, be sure to smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe for more. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.